It's about the act, not about even the reason or anything. It's
Well, it's not
it
some
is
random
when you do
thing.
something, there is a specific response, and the more you learn about creation, the more you realize this. And when you emulate the apocalypse from the
Yeah.
book, you're going to have similar situations and effects naturally resulting, whether it's planned or it's just spontaneously happening. Well, in this case, the planning is all there. So, yeah, of course, it's going to have similarities. They're counting on it. It's going to show
Yes.
exactly like described because they're doing the same things,
Yeah,
but
I
they
think they're
plan.
bound by it somehow. I think they're bound by it somehow
You become
because
bound. When you
yeah,
start that
because
process, yeah, that's going to happen.
well, this was my theory, right? Is that creation came first, the Bible came second, right? So it's like the Bible is the finished book, but we haven't lived out the rest of it yet. And they're just like in the Bible, it's just a writing of what happened, right? These people aren't copying the Bible; they are just living it, and it's already written what they're going to do in a foreknowledge kind of way, you know?
Well, in a descriptive kind of way, it is a
Yeah.
process description. That's what the apocalypse. What do you call the end days?
The
It's all
Revelation,
descriptive. It's not super detailed.
a lot of
There's rarely
symbolism.
names and even numbers. There are some numbers, but it's pretty vague. More like like a stage play, rough description, right? So
Well, it's
yeah,
like
how tough is that to get correlations going? Look how easy correlations echo all over the place. You
yeah, I
could
agree
say
to that.
it's driven. It's driven even to do that by AI. Okay, so
Yeah, and that
right.
could be
So
the
just
beast
look at
itself,
what
you
is
know?
going on, and then realize that what is happening now, they couldn't describe it. You could argue that it was just a slight look and realization, okay, this is what I get out of it. And it was still pretty wise. It was still getting the essence of it, basically. And that
Did,
is then written down and
did you ever?
that
Did
stays
you
over
ever?
the ages. And then people at some point get really nutty and devilish and think like, oh, we're the gods. What are we going to do? How do we get the little people the most? Okay, we're going to play the freaking apocalypse. Look at this. This is crazy. This book, this idiotic book. But yeah, this is kind of interesting though, because how they describe that. Yeah, that could work. Let's do
So
it,
you
guys. Let's
think
get really
they're? You think
freaking
you
naughty.
think
And
you
that's the
think they're
late
using?
19th century.
Well, you think they're using the
Huh?
Bible as like a playbook, and I'm thinking
Yes,
that the creation is
because they
done,
got nutty. They had too much
and
power. It worked
it's
all worked too
shrouded in
well.
well, it's shrouded in symbolism because like the reason like I hate to paraphrase the Bible. I have no right to do that, but when Jesus spoke in parables, it's so that people with the spirit of God will understand it, you know. And for the people that don't understand it, it's not for them, you know. It's not for everybody, right? Some things, right? And
Right.
so when you're looking at some of that symbolism in there, right? Like like some people see it happening, some people it's it doesn't make any sense to them, right? But what I'm basing it on is what I see, right? And then what I see, like when I start thinking I'm crazy, right? That all this stuff is going on, it's like it seemed impossible, right? uh but there's so many other people confirming that, right? There's so many other people saying, oh yeah, this is it.
Right.
This is
Yeah,
it.
but I'm not denying that. Don't you get it?
Yeah. No, no, I get
I'm
it.
just
I get it.
saying that it might be just more than you would just even think of, and that it's
True.
you look. The funny thing is, it's kind of a dualism at it, because again, I wonder, like, is the Bible basically a control opposition mechanism, like an ancient spiritual weapon left to pick up by the bold that got arrogant enough, Luciferian, to pick it up and do it, and that is basically what it says as a designer, basically handing that out to humanity for the time when it is there? Or is it just randomly so? Could it even be repeated? You know, like we would get this situation under control somehow, like really big time, and then I don't know, it would just be left like that, and who knows in how many decades or a
Well,
100 years or something, it might happen something similar again. You don't
well,
know. You
no, I
don't know
know.
which one it is. Oh, not saying like, oh,
No,
don't
but
look
listen.
at it, don't look at the Bible. No, I'm saying, oh yeah, yeah, definitely look at it,
Okay, I
because
got two things. Two
if
things I want to add.
anything, it's their playbook. So
Okay, well,
you
I want to
can
add two
look,
things.
if it's that close, you can count that it's gonna resemble more eventually. See?
Well, yeah, but okay, let me give you. Okay, let me make two little points real quick.
Right?
One, I think if it was something they were using, right, to troll us with, right, that they would push it. They would say, "Hey, everybody, read your Bible," you know, like they wouldn't never talk about it on the mainstream or ignore it completely or always have something bad to say about Jesus. Like they don't promote Christianity at all. So I don't
Because the
think that
roles are
they're
divided,
right,
just
but
like the
and then
Bible describes. The main thing is very much evil and a liar. But there's still a lot of very brave and maybe, yeah, some really good, some not so good Christian promoters out there as well. And they're also still doing their thing. It's just
well,
the mainstream, is it? They're
I
definitely
would
not Christian.
say I would say that you know if you really uh, look at the Bible as far as like Christian, non-Christian, you know, there are no good people, fully good people that are, you know, there people can corrupt anything. They just get worse and worse and worse and more out of control, right? God is like always reaching out to save his people, right? And so he had, you know, so like what I'm saying is a lot of people conflate like, oh, look what the Catholic Church did to all these people, murdered these people or whatever. And you know, and that even may be a lie or a reverse of history. We don't know, right? It was what they've taught us or whatever. But like as far as God is concerned, he's not the people. He's not the church. He's God, right? And so, like a lot of people say, well, oh, because Christian people at this time period or that time period did this or that, right? Then I don't want to be Christian, you know. But that's basing it on people, you know,
Yeah.
on their behavior, and people will let you down every time, even your favorite person, you know. And it's just, you know, it's nothing unique to a human being to make mistakes, you know, or to even get way out of control, you know.
Yeah,
And
of
so
course.
like at this point, right, in the end times, if this was the end times, right, and I think it is, right, then the next thing that is coming, because the mark of the beast technology is already out, right, is the Antichrist is going to be revealed, right, soon, and he's going to save the world, and everyone's going to fall in love with him. He's going to be the fake savior, right? And everybody who worships the beast, right, gets a mark, right? And you can't buy or sell anything without it. Now, if you're saved, right, prior to when the mark comes out, you get raptured. And well, first they steal 144,000 of the ethnic Israelites, right, the 12 tribes of Israel, right, and then 144,000 virgins because they're going to witness to the people
Okay.
during the tribulation, and then we fly out of here, buddy. You
Okay,
know, and then
sure.
but things do get better. So like it's not like
Right.
you know
So
it's
what
not
if
going to
that
be all.
doesn't happen?
So now if the Antichrist doesn't come and the mark of the beast doesn't come out, right? Then we're
I'm
not
not
in the end
saying that.
times.
What if that
Yeah.
rapture thing doesn't happen? Because that's something that,
Well,
well, there
yeah.
might,
There's
a
some
lot of
content.
people might
Yeah.
disappear all of a sudden.
Right. Right. So
Yeah,
if there is a
so
rapture,
how
a
are you
lot of
saying
people
that's a
disappear.
rapture?
Well, okay. So it's like God will call us up in the air, and we won't have to live through the tribulation. We'll just go
So is
get our
anybody else
glorified.
going to see that? That's going to be
Yeah.
left behind? Okay.
Um, they'll notice for sure. You know.
Right. So
Or, but I've also
what
heard an
if
argument.
nobody notices and just a lot of people suddenly disappear one night?
Yeah, but they'll
Yeah,
notice
what
that people are
then?
gone.
Well, what is that then? Is that a rapture? Is that what you're going to
Yeah.
believe? Or you're going to believe there's just a lot of people that disappeared suddenly one night? What is
It'd
it
be
going to be?
pretty fishy though if
Yeah,
a
no
big
shit, right?
multitude of
So,
people disappear.
so yeah, this is what I'm saying. Look, you have no guarantee this is any supernatural situation going on. If it's just a apocalypse, then yeah, they might feel compelled to at some point do something like that to fulfill the playbook, right?
Okay,
So
there's a slight
there's no
possibility
guarantee
of that.
that's the real thing, though.
That's
No,
not
it's
what I
very
believe, but
nice
I'll
to
leave it open.
imagine that it would be and that we would be summoned like that. Yes,
Yes,
very nice. If it'll happen, it'll happen. I'm sure it will. But there's also a good chance that it won't because this isn't the real supernatural apocalypse.
I don't know. It looks pretty bad, Arwen. Never
Does
seen
it really?
America like this.
Well,
Have
I'm
you
not
ever
seeing
seen
a lot of
America like
supernatural
this?
activity. I'm seeing spiritual activity, but
Yes.
yes, but that's not supernatural though. It's just natural.
Well, to me it's natural, but they consider it spirit,
Oh,
supernatural.
really? So now
Anything.
you can just classify things that you can actually figure out is natural in animals
Yeah,
and
I think it's
traces
natural.
of that, and that's all supernatural too, even though animals have
Well,
that.
what do you think a baller would say if he saw an angel,
So what the
right?
fuck is a baller kind of a standard for
Right.
reality,
Well,
dude?
because most people are sheep, dude. Like, what? I mean, what is
Yeah,
the?
but sheep don't really think about anything that deeply at all. Ballers do, and they are
Yeah,
stick to
you're
the
right.
most deluded side.
That's
But that's
true.
not a
That's
good
the extreme,
example.
I guess.
No?
We'll call that. we'll, but like, I never thought I would see America like this, right? And it's never
uh,
been like this. I've always
right,
felt
but yeah,
completely
America is now
secure.
pretty much in a what is it, a pre-Civil War scenario. It looks really
Yeah,
bad.
could be. I
Yeah,
mean, could
so it's
be.
not the first time in history that's happened. In
No,
America,
but
maybe no, not in America, not even
no,
no, because
America happened in
before the Civil
18.
War, something like
Yeah,
this kind of happened as well. So it sucks,
yeah. It's
but it
very,
it
very
doesn't
divided.
necessarily mean the apocalypse. Also,
It doesn't necessarily mean that, right?
it
But
is
I
very
believe that
shitty.
yeah, it's fishy. At the very least, it's
Well, it's
fishy, right?
creepy. It's bad. It's creepy. It's
Sure,
dangerous, and people go nuts.
well,
Like
it's creepy
like the
unless
people
you
in
know.
control too. They go nuts. They get mania from it. What's the
Sure,
problem?
there's going to be a lot of scared people, and I feel like I feel for everybody that is. I want everybody to make it, but I know that it won't happen, But I want
The
everyone to make
scared people aren't really that much of the problem. The real problem is the people that have control, sort
the
of, that are
deceivers.
going along with it, that are having fits of mania, that get really control freaky, that think
Oh
they
yeah,
suddenly are miniature tyrants. That's a bigger
yeah,
problem than you might realize. We've already seen the tip of the iceberg with that in the last decade. Well, that's
yeah.
going to grow worse.
I've had people come after me, people like that, Yeah, some people get insane about it, and they think that they somehow have the secret or whatever, or or the
No, they
ultimate
just
truth.
become tyrannical.
Yeah,
And that shit happens like in Africa all the time.
like in like what,
Yeah,
like
a group
tribes and
just
stuff.
gets all maniacal and just say like, oh, we own everyone. We're gonna enslave and kill and
Oh, that's horrific.
yeah.
That's horrific. I
And
did
it
see
is
like,
basically conditioned in there as well. It's always very sick psychopaths that push that yeah, create a cult like that and then do that every time.
yeah.
And yeah, you know how it works in the United States now. The universities
Well,
and the
yeah, but
Marxists and political
this is what's
system.
crazy is that when I was in the military, right? I was like so proud and like I would have done anything. I would have died for this country, for for the freedoms that we have, right? Wanted to be part of that price to be paid,
Me too,
like I
man.
was proud.
Me too.
But
I
then,
loved America when I was young.
but
I
then,
thought it was amazing. I,
but then I like slowly I started realizing like, oh man, like maybe we're not the good guys, man.
yeah.
Like, like maybe we're the bad guys that the world is trying to get
Uh,
rid of or something,
did you see the Paul Joseph Watson video?
Well, if
The last one.
uh, oh yeah, yeah.
He had that
No, I didn't
sample
see it.
with the
I
Nazi
didn't
guy,
see
like,
it.
are we the baddies? He played it like 10 times. It was amazing. Ah,
Well,
sorry.
I forgot what I was gonna say, man. I was gonna make a point, man, but oh yeah, like when I was in the army during 9/11, right? And it didn't seem right then, you know what I mean? Like it didn't it's like it happened. They called me in. I had to go on I was on vacation, right? Because my son just had his first birthday, and they called me in, and it took me like 4 hours to get on base because they were doing mirrors under the cars and all that, to check for everything, and to get on post. And it's like from the moment the second plane hit, if you believe that a plane hit it, right? But from the moment that second plane hit on the news, right, till I got to post was 4 hours, and they already had like, oh, this is the guy that did it. We found a passport on the ground, like like it didn't seem right, but I never questioned it. I never, in my mind, ever thought about. I knew it didn't sound right, that wow, how did they do that? Because I was stationed near Mount NORAD, and they were always bragging about how if a plane took off in any country, we would know about it. Like the Star Wars program and everything.
Right.
But come to find out, that's all bullcrap.
But it's not that hard to imagine. You don't necessarily even have to doubt what's going on in a disaster. And then just
Right.
imagine, like, oh, the government is just using this for some kind of political placement. So they
Sure.
add on shit and then make it part of their story or something. You don't
I
even
think
have
this
to
is
suspect
worse.
it necessarily that it's some kind of foul play. Politics will just add shit on.
Yeah, it's
That's how
true.
I used to see it before I realized that 9/11 is like really freaky.
Yeah, it that blew my mind when I well, see, that's what woke me up, like kind of woke me up. I saw it like in I don't know, I think it was like 2007, 2008, and I believed it right away even though it was freaky, right? But
Hmm.
I didn't go back to conspiracies or nothing like that, right? To ever even look at the moon landings, nothing. I knew that was fishy, and I heard some people asking a couple questions about it, but I just put it out of my mind, right? But in 2017 when I came to Flat Earth, right? It was like, oh, just like 9/11, man. This is what, it was easy for me to grasp because of 9/11. 9/11 made it easy for me to grasp. But
Right,
since 2017, I started seeing all of the conspiracies. Some
right,
of them were fake that I had to learn. Like, it's like, oh, people are being cloned, and they have a clone in some warehouse, and then their real body is walking around, but their clone is somewhere else. Like I went down that rabbit trail a little bit, and I'm like, oh, this isn't real, man. What the hell, man? But you live and learn, right? And
right.
it's like, but now we see so much stuff, right? And then when I opened up the Bible and like started getting serious about the Bible, even though I was already Christian before that, I was like super Christian now, right? Like I felt it inside my body, like this is real, and you start learning that like they're spiritual creatures from the beginning all the way through the Bible that coexist with us, that
That's so weird
can
that you say it like that.
it is, but it's real, right? Like
But
like
yeah, but
before
it's
that,
really in the book, It's such a weird experience, and whether other people are reading from it and you're listening in, you just
yeah,
get sucked into this really bright world that's like really different
yeah,
from what I'm
yeah.
used to.
It's way different than
And
we
but it
thought.
is almost like a gateway to another dimension, like being just thinking about it.
Yeah,
Right.
because
But that's an
like
esoteric experience. It's purely a spiritual thing, you know. It has nothing even necessarily to do with the words. It's just what it is, what's
yeah.
going on there. And yeah,
Well,
what people respond with, you know, it's yeah.
yeah,
It,
it's
so yeah,
crazy
I like
because
I'm an
like
esoterist, so
we'll see like okay, so they mentioned the fallen angels in Genesis chapter 6 a little bit. Then they mention angels again. You know, all throughout there's the angel of the Lord comes to visit people. And then there's angels with, when Sodom and Gomorrah were burnt down and everything, right? But it's like but really if you from A to B, they've been here the whole time, right? And Jesus came and redeemed man, right? But what people don't understand is that the fallen angels fell in chapter 6 by marrying women, taking wives, human
yeah.
wives, and so but there was no redemption plan for them like us. So so the fallen angels have like kind of like a beef with us that they want to convince us to join them here to take souls from God, to
Well,
put
they're
like
just still trying to get out of whatever time is left to them.
right,
That's how I
right,
see it. And that's
and it's
typically
almost
the
over for them.
Satanist mindset as well.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
not
Lucifer is
surprising.
one of those angels, right? That, in fact, uh, Lucifer was. They said, God's most beautiful creation. And he was made of musical instruments and jewels and everything. And like, but he couldn't take it. He wanted to be God. And so like, it's just crazy that like how the narrative plays out. That everyone wants to blame Christians and blame God for all the death, right? But I heard a Daniel Pratt video today, and he said the serpent in the garden is responsible for all death in the world, because before Eve was deceived, we weren't created to die. We were created to live forever. But it was our punishment that we all would die after that, you know. And
Right?
so yeah, the serpent is really the murderer, you know. He's
Right.
the real killer, And so there's so much suspense and
Well, yeah,
mystery
that's a
in
starting
the
point.
Bible.
But
Yeah,
yeah, God
but
created it all, including the serpent, you know,
that's
for a
right.
reason.
That's
So
right.
I'm not even gonna blame. I don't even,
Right, right.
yeah.
I'm just happy I'm part of it. Like I some
And I
things suck
respect
and I do
serpents,
stuff
you know.
for.
It's there's other ways to interpret serpents as well.
Well, before the
It's
serpent
it's
deceived
very
Eve.
Christian to think of serpents as all that, but yeah.
No, but listen, before the serpent deceived Eve, uh, he was just considered like a crafty, smart, spiritual, crafty serpent, right? Until he, convinced Eve to sin, right? So he wasn't even really a negative character, right? Until he did what he
Okay, but
did,
what made him a negative character then?
Well, deceiving Eve and making her eat that fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and that after that, then the punishment for that is death, right? Sin is death, and then also that she would have pain during birth, and but that she
Oh,
would
that came all
eventually,
after, you know.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
the punishment laid after. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm just look, I get it. I
yeah.
understand. I'm just being very stubborn and saying like,
But I
okay,
no, but
well,
I know if people
you
get
know, I don't
emotional.
like it. I almost feel like the serpent is just happens to be the creature that was possessed by the evil influence. Was it even literally the serpent himself,
Well, the
or did
serpent
the
was a
serpent get
spiritual
possessed?
creature.
You know,
Could be.
wasn't there just
Could
an
be.
evil spirit that just happened to possess the serpent because the serpent was very crafty?
Well, I'll tell you this, right? It's a natural human emotion for some people. I'm not saying everybody, to have a little sympathy for the devil, right? It's like it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? But you start feeling sorry for, like, it's just like how, like, they have movies like The Joker, or where you start sympathizing with the character, like, oh man, he really had it kind of rough, you start to feel for the bad guy a little bit. Well, that happens in life too, right? That happens for people too. I've seen it a lot of times where people are like, oh yeah, man, why was the devil even created if he's gonna suffer now, or whatever, but they don't think about all the stuff that the enemy has done to us, or whatever, but
Oh,
it's a
vengeance is
natural
of the
human
Lord.
emotion.
So
Yeah, and
why would you not? Isn't it not more convenient to
I
basically
think,
sympathize if you can't really punish them anyway, and then just be defensive and make sure, yeah, you
yeah,
warn others
it's
and all
human.
that?
Yeah, I think it's normal for a human to feel empathy and sympathy. I know that some people don't
Right,
bring
as
it
long
to
as you
that
don't let your
level.
guard down.
Yeah, you can't let your guard down, because what really surprised me about reading the Bible was how many times it says in there, "Don't be deceived, man." you know, like, that's real important to God, is for us not to be deceived. And that's what not the serpent, but the idea of the serpent, right? The adversary, right? That's what the devil wants to do, is constantly deceive us.
Right, spirit of Satan. You know,
Yeah.
I consider Satan as a spirit. I don't necessarily think it's an entity like that. Although the
Yeah.
Antichrist might be.
For me, it's hard for me to give him I use Satan as a title. I believe there's one evil adversary, and that's Satan to me, right? But I almost
But
think
it
of
is kind of
Satan
a
as a title.
personification because it's
Yeah,
just a collective spirit. It's just something that happens and
it's a
it's
bad thing,
surprisingly
man. Yeah,
unified at its
yeah.
collectivity. That's like an aberration side effect. But it's more like it's not really a real being. It just almost seems
Oh,
like it. It's even like a collective bluff power
I think
because of.
it's a real being, but I think it's more than that. I think there's more adversaries than just him.
But
You see
yeah,
what I mean? But, like,
no, but they're not unified spirits like that.
they might not be.
Not
That's
like
the
that.
thing. They
Because this
they
thing
might.
really thrives on even stupid people, and that's so bizarre how that works.
It's
That's like
evil, isn't it?
really bizarre that it works that way.
Well, see, I am one of those people, right? Like, if I understand something, right, a concept or something, and somebody else doesn't get it, like, I want them to understand. Like, so it's like if someone's being not told the truth, and then they believe the lie, right? But like they don't even know the truth from the beginning to even choose the evil. You know, it's like, I want you to know that God is real, and then you can choose to do whatever you want. But like, at least hear the truth and know it once. But to be deceived and never know the truth, right? It's hard for me to see people deceived, and then they just don't want to be helped, and
But
I
if they
want to
don't
help
want
people.
to, then it's not. Then they
I
have
know.
seen it. Then they have
Then
seen it.
I be
Ignored it.
then I become their enemy. So I have to stay away from that. Everyone is individual. Everyone makes their own decisions, and you can only do what you can do.
Right. Well, I
And
say it as everyone needs time at least. And there
sure,
is kind of
yeah,
like an exploration date to it as well. But that
yeah,
naturally reveals itself. Like if people after a very long time like are very adamantly not learning a lesson, then they
right,
basically almost transmutate. They mutate into something that literally resembles it. So they like get physically punished
yeah,
by their
yeah.
mistake. It starts to literally show,
I think
and
they
then
get
they're
more
like
and more
stuck like that.
blind or something.
But
Like,
that's what I'm noticing.
yeah,
So sin really does show eventually. It's hard to describe, but you always know if you have before and after.
See, I
And
think
then
so
after
too. I
after
think
a
it
long
does.
time, it really sinks.
Yes. Well, see, I think that they kind of like with doctors and everything, this allopathic medicine, which is mostly just treating symptoms, right? But it's like I think that that's like they're hiding what really makes us sick is sin, but they're acting like these are all just diseases that we can all catch, you know, and they'll treat you for the symptom, but can never really cure you, and it's like I think that it's all a cover up because if you walk in, maybe they don't know that they're doing it. Maybe they're not aware that they're doing it, right? And maybe they're not all in on it, right? But what I'm saying is like if you walked into a doctor's office and they're wearing like black robes and witches hats and stuff, right? What would be the difference between a witch and a doctor? I mean, they just hand you some kind of potion and take these pills and and then
It
eat
doesn't
these roots and
necessarily have to even be bad, even with witches, if they're
well,
just
it doesn't
giving
have to be
medicine.
bad, but
Well,
it
what is
is what
even
it
bad
is,
about
right?
symptom fighting? It all depends on
Uh,
if people obviously have chronic conditions based on like
well, I don't
problems
feel
they're
bad about
hiding, and a
that.
doctor is like gonna ignore it. If a
Yeah,
doctor is in it for the money and just wants a drug patient, that's evil. But if a
yeah,
doctor's just using what he learned to do his best, that's not evil. It could be very much mistaken, if like these real
right. Yes, they
allopathic
could be deceived,
fanatics, yeah, that can also do harm, especially if they're anti-alternative,
but
because
the
there is
people at the
just more
very
out
top,
there.
but the
But
people at the
that's
very
all
top that know
personal
better.
choice based. So
I don't know. I think that
every
at
doctor is
some
different.
level, no, I know, but I think most doctors really are just doing their best. They learn how to be doctors, and they're just trying to do their job, right? What they were taught, right? But there's like a level of evilness at the top that they do know better, and they do know what they're doing,
Yeah,
and they train everybody accordingly. Like there's a level where there is some knowing involved. You know
of
what I
course.
mean?
Yeah, but those are basically the ones that are trying to run the business.
Yeah. Man, that banking really screwed us, man, didn't it?
Yeah.
They do this thing, this fractional reserve banking, right? Where for every real dollar they have in the bank, they're allowed to loan out $12. And so they're really loaning out 12 times as much money as they really have.
Nah, that's old, man. It's
I
not.
know.
There's no
It
limit on
sounds
that anymore. Hasn't been for decades.
Oh, so you think
So
they can loan out as much as they want then? Now it's not
that's been
12?
going on for decades. Hello. Like
Oh, well,
every
then
year,
that's evil.
the new budget for government just multiplies every time.
Oh,
So
that's so evil, man. They're burying
no,
us,
well,
man, with
evil.
this.
It's evil. It's yeah,
Well,
just massive inflation.
well,
It is yeah.
okay. If you're running a bank
It's
for
not a
profit,
durable
right?
situation, that's for sure.
Right. If you're running a bank for profit, right? Just you have the idea you're going to have a bank and you're going to like get, charge interest for loans or whatever. Okay, even though that's not really, okay, I can live with that. Let's say me personally. But like if you know that eventually, right, what you're doing won't hold up and the bottom will drop out, right? And you keep profiting knowing that you don't really have the money, like like let's say, you know, Mr. Ed brings his four gold, bars or whatever, and the banker writes him the notes. Here's what your gold's worth or whatever. You just come back and get it whenever, and then he just spends the paper because it's easier, and the next guy spends the paper, and they never come back to get the gold, and so the banker loans out more money, even though it's not his gold, and they start profiting that way where it's like, oh, as long as people don't come get their money out of the bank, we can just do whatever we want. That to me, that's evil. You know?
Uh, no, not
You
really.
see what you
Business.
don't think so? Oh my God, that's some cutthroat business, Arwin.
Yeah, but it
That's
is.
that's
Look, it's just,
it,
dude, that's just risk. It's called risk. gamblers are in that kind of shit all the time, and some are actually kind of good
Yeah,
at it. But yeah, risk
yeah,
sometimes gets you killed. So, and that was the consequence back then in early banking with that sort of thing.
yeah,
Bank runs would get a banker killed.
yeah.
They wouldn't be escorted away quickly before that happened and shit. So,
These are
so yeah,
crazy
but
times, and there always has
that's
been crazy
business,
times, I
It's
guess. But
hmm?
it's crazy. Like every time that I like would think about work, like I'm working for a company, and I kind of see like what their expenditures and what they are making. I always wonder, like, cause like they never seem to really make money mathematically, but everyone seemed to just be, they just kept going. And I never understood that. I'm like, don't you run a business to like make a profit, all right? But a lot of businesses, I would say most businesses don't operate that way. They just open up a business and they pay themselves a salary and they pay everyone a salary, and then when it's broke or whatever, or it does well, they sell it, and if it's broke, they ask for bailouts or whatever.
Right, because those
It's
businesses are often there to, yeah, create like a feeding bottom for other businesses, for bigger businesses.
yeah,
A lot of businesses open up like that. They're basically socialized businesses. They're being funded because other businesses need them to be around and do their stuff, because that supports what they're
yeah.
doing. Yeah, that's and
Oh,
that's
I'm not saying
often a
that.
lot of
Yeah,
shitty jobs. That's why those
yeah,
jobs are sponsored and there's around because they're the shitty jobs. Nobody wants to do those, so they're always around.
yeah.
Call centers and shit.
I just
I've
wonder,
done some of that. It's pretty shitty.
like, but isn't it weird that like 10% of the people on Earth like want to own everything, or 1% they want to own the whole world. Like, why can't we all have our own little square, and you just mind your business on your square, and I'll be on my square. But
Yeah, well, they don't
that,
feel like it, so they don't
yeah, we
care.
should all be sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we should
should
all.
be, but they don't because humans have egos, and egos lead people in all kinds of directions. So, yeah.
Crazy, man. I got to get this green paper in my pocket just to operate. But anyway, Arwin, thank you very much, man, for this.
All right. Yeah, it
I'm
was
gonna
a
throw
pleasure.
this up. Our little argument, our little contentious. I know you don't like talking end times, but I appreciate you doing this with me.
All right. Yeah, it was good to put those things out there, and
Speculate, yeah, speculate and report.
yep. All right.
All right,
Hey, I'll
my
see
brother.
you
God
around.
bless you. All right, I'll
All
see you
right.
tomorrow.
You.
All right, late.